All right, so dates in SQL can be messy. One source gives you this, while another one gives you this, and even sometimes there's some text mixed in with it. Does this sound familiar? Well, today I'm going to show you how to handle these inconsistent date formats with SQL so that your data works seamlessly no matter how it's stored. Here's what we're going to cover: how to convert common date formats with SQL functions like cast and convert, tricks for handling epoch date time, as well as Excel serial dates, and partial dates like October 25th without a year, best practices to avoid messy date issues in the future, and stick around for a special bonus at the very end. I'll share how to identify these tricky numbers and how to dynamically be able to accommodate any of them. So let's start with why date formats are so important. Imagine merging sales data from two systems. One uses year, month, day, while another one might use month, day, year. If you try to join these data sets without standardizing the date formats first, it really will wreak havoc when your analysts are trying to analyze things and create reports, and you'll get errors, or worse, you'll just have inaccurate data. When your joins just don't match, reports break, dashboards give inaccurate insights, and decision making really just grinds to a halt. It really will, you know, take any type of trust that your stakeholders have in your data and your reporting and throw it out the window. That's why normalizing date formats is such a critical part of any data engineering workflows as well as your ETL. Next, we're going to dive into how SQL helps you to convert and handle these inconsistent data formats. So let's take a look at how SQL can help you to handle some date formatting issues. The first thing, number one thing that you could use is cast and convert. These are really your big go-to tools for converting date formats in SQL Server. Next, we're going to take a look at some examples, but we're going to go over a couple more options real quick. The next one is format. This is for custom display formats. It's great for reporting and will really give you a very aesthetically pleasing output depending on what type of reporting that you're creating. Next, we have parse. This is not one that's available in SQL Server, but is available in some of your other legacy databases. So that's also an option if you're using something like Oracle or MySQL. So next, we're going to go into Azure Data Studio and take a look at how these functions help you to differently convert different types of date formats. Like we discussed, sometimes dates are stored as numbers, like your Excel dates, or they might be epoch time, which are really long, big integer numbers. Um, and both one, the epoch time is number of seconds since January 1st, 1970, and then the Excel time is actually number of days since January 1st, 1970. So one thing that you could do when you're converting dates to a consistent date format is you could use cast and convert. So for instance, if you have a date that looks like this up on the screen here, 12/26/2024 as date, and you want to convert it to a standard date, then you could use cast and say as date, and that will convert it into the SQL Server standard date, which is year, month, day. Um, and then you could use convert equally. So you're going to use convert. You're going to say date. You're going to put in the, your text date. And so here we'll see we put in year, month, day. 23 is that conversion for that format. And then that is actually the ISO standard. So if you want to know what the ISO standards are, I'll put the link down in the description of the video. But you'll see when we run this that you see that they both come out in a consistent date format. So now, what if you need to format that specifically? So let's look at what this does. You'd use a format command. if you need a specific date format for some type of reporting or something, some type of, just aesthetic reasons. So you could use format. When you say, get date, just gets whatever the current system date is for your SQL server. And then your MMMM in all caps will actually spell out the name of the month, followed by lowercase d's will give you a 2-digit day, and then comma lowercase y's will give you your year. If we were to change this to YY, then it's just going to give us a 2-digit year. And we'll see that when we run it like this. See, it just gives us 24. Generally, you're going to want to keep all 4 characters for your year. All right, so moving on. Next thing that we talked about is sometimes you get dates that have the month spelled out in it. And so you'll see something like this, the 12th of December, 2024. Well, first thing you have to do is you have to strip out like the THs and, the STs, for like first, or TH for 12th, things like that. Strip out those characters, replace it. You'd use this replace function. So we're taking this string for our date, where we're looking for the th, and we're replacing it with just an empty string. So just replacing it with nothing. So what this is going to do is use the convert function. We're going to convert it to a date. We're going to replace that th out of that date, and we're going to convert it to a date format that is 113. There is a SQL Server page that documents what each of these numbers that we're looking at here are. Again, you could find that in the description of the video. So let's run this. I'm going to show you real quickly what that looks like. It does, again, come back out to the ISO standard. You see 12/12/2024. If we say 24th, oops, changed it in the wrong place. Say 24th, then you'll see the same thing, right? Say 12/24/2024. Just to show you that it is year, month, day. Okay, so epoch time. Epoch time is something that you get from time to time. It's the Unix standard. Again, it's the number of seconds from January 1st, 1970. So let's take a look. The way that you convert this is not using converter cast. You can't use converter cast the way that you would normally use it. I'll show you a way that you can use convert towards the end of the video, but real quickly, this is the standard way that you're going to convert epoch time, and that is by doing a date add, using the date add function. You're going to add the number of seconds that it gives you to January 1st, 1970 and get the result. So we're going to run that. I'm going to show you what that looks like. Again, it's going to give you the exact seconds. So this actually shows us January 26, 2024 at 9:10 p.m. So again, it's the Unix standard. You do see this in some of your data sets. This is how you convert it into an actual date. All right, so Excel dates. Excel dates we see all the time, right? You have Excel as your data sources, fortunately, unfortunately, however you want to look at it, all the time. And sometimes when you're importing that data, it's going to come through as this integer. It's going to come through as some format of a 5-character day. And this is the number of days, again, from January 1st, 1900. So that's how Excel looks at your number of days. And so we're going to run that, and we see that 45,000 is March 17th, 2023. Now, when you use date add to convert this, the issue is going to be that if, for example, you have a specific time and you see a specific time of day when you in the format of a decimal when you're looking at your Excel dates. So you might see something like this as a date format, right? This doesn't necessarily mean that it's $45,000.52. It could very well be a date. So you need to be sure that you're understanding what your data set is as you're importing it. Make sure that you're asking questions if you need to. So again, you run this, you see that there's no date. So I'm going to show you here in a little bit exactly what that looks like and how you get it to actually show you the time to convert that part into a time. All right, so moving on. Default to a specific year. Sometimes, one of the, I posted a short a while back about, frustrating date formats. And, one of the comments were, hey, sometimes I get this date format of all I get is the month and the day, and I don't get the year. I know what the year is because it's the current year, but I don't necessarily get it in my data source. So it's important to convert that to an actual date time, right? And so one way to do that is to append the year onto the end of that string, right? And so we're just going to cast October 25th. We're going to do a plus 2024 at the end of it as date, and that's going to give us a full date. And you'll see that it gives us 10/25, 2024. Now, another way to dynamically do that is you can cast the year from a get date function as the date, right? And so this way you're adding very similarly to what we just did, but a little bit more dynamically. It'll add the current year to whatever that string is that you pass in. And so you'll see that when we run this, you get the 10/25, 2024. I'm going to change this to 31 just to show you that it does actually do it for that one, and you don't think that I just ran it again. So 10/31, 2024. Now, let's move on real quickly to extracting the month and the day from recurring dates. This is something that you have to do sometimes to be able to aggregate by month or by year, to be able to show things certain ways in certain views that you create for your stakeholders. So month and day are important functions to know. And conversely, you could also use this for year, right? Year, month, day. So I'll show you real quick here. I'll add year to this. Just copy this, I'll paste it there. We're gonna say year. So it's really as simple as that. Let's run this, and you see that it splits out the month. Forgot to rename the field. Year. Year, month, day. Year, month, day. 2024, 10, 2025. So as simple as that. Now, here's the issue with just using convert with epoch time. It doesn't work. You get an overflow error because it's expecting a small int. At best, it's expecting a small int when you're using convert. Even when you use cast, it doesn't work. Again, it's a so you get the same overflow error because again, at best, it's looking for a small int, not a big int. It just too many numbers. It's too big of a number for it to understand in those functions. So you can't use cast. You do for epoch time need to use the date add function in order to get a proper date time. Now, like I said, for Excel, you can use convert for the Excel format. Again, I would strongly urge you to use convert because again, using the date add doesn't give you the specific time of day if it is being fed in. And I'm going to show you that right now. So here we see same number, 45, 355.5 for both of our values here. We're adding the date add, January 1st, 1900 to January 1st, 1900. We get March 6th, 2024 at midnight, 0000 is midnight. Now, same thing with convert. We actually get, the .5 is noon. So we actually get the 12 o'clock. If we do .75, then we will get the appropriate time of day as well. So we see that it is 6 o'clock.
So I do want to pop in here real quick and just mention that all of these cases that we just finished discussing, you could substitute where I manually put in that date into those functions, whatever the date field is that you have in the table that you're looking at. So you could, you could recreate any of these functions using that date field. So just want to make sure to clarify that for those of you that are, still watching. So, and let's get back to it.
All right, so let's talk real quickly about some best practices. I talked about, you want to get it into that ISO standard early. When you are doing your ETL, when you're pulling that data in and you're putting it into your production tables, your foundation tables, you want to use that ISO standard. Make sure that it's consistent from the get-go in your data warehouse. So try to do it during your ETL process as you're importing those data sources during your transformations. Next, document your rules. Again, we've talked about this time and time before. Standardization of what your rules are, of how you're writing your code, what those consistent date formats are. Standardization is important, whatever it looks like, whether you use ISO or something else. Documenting your standards are important. So be sure you're clearly documenting how you're going to handle dates and how they're going to be stored in your data warehouse. Next, validate the inputs. Be sure that you're using some SQL constraints or pre-processing to catch those invalid dates before they cause issues in your reporting and your users see them. Again, you don't want to degrade the trust of your users to your data. The next piece, test for edge cases. As you're doing your testing for your ETL, for your new reporting, for your new data sources,
always test for leap years, ambiguous formats, and missing values. So especially if you're doing some type of workaround to get to a specific, date format or whatever the case may be, make sure that you're testing and make sure that you're doing that thoroughly to make sure that you've tested edge cases and things aren't going to appear that you're not expecting. So what's the trickiest date format that you've encountered? I've added one that came up during the shorts. I do this all the time. Been trying to post shorts out there to try to get some feedback so that I can make sure that I include those types of edge cases. So, has it been, epoch time, Excel serial dates, or something even messier? Let me know down in the comments. I'd really love to know and troubleshoot with you, and maybe I could include it in a future video. So, whether you are dealing with Unix time, Excel serial dates, or partial dates like October 25th, your data sources are going to have inconsistent formats. It's going to come up for you. SQL really does have all the tools that you could use to handle them all. If this video did help you, be sure you hit that like and subscribe button. And be sure to check out my next video where I'm going to show you how to use Python to handle different date formats and how to get things in a consistent format. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.